Jason's desperate search leads to an emotional reunion. Britt reveals FAISON's shocking secret. The Five Poppies Resort and Spa in Croatia has been shrouded in mystery for weeks. But nothing could prepare Jason Morgan for what he would discover when he finally tracked down Britt Westburn. After receiving urgent warnings from Anna Devane about the dangerous activities at the luxurious resort, Jason knew he had to make the journey to ensure Britt's safety, even if it meant walking into unknown territory. The journey to Five Poppies. Jason's decision to travel to Croatia came after Anna's cryptic warnings about the resort being a front for something else. Using the alias John Moore, Jason successfully booked a room at the Five Poppies, his mind racing with possibilities about what he might find. The resort's picturesque exterior belied the sinister activities taking place within its walls, where Britt had been confined under the watchful eye of Pascal, the resort manager who served as her handler. As Jason arrived at the resort, he couldn't shake the feeling that this reunion would be unlike any other. The last time he had seen Britt, she was supposedly dying from Huntington's disease, and according to everyone in Port Charles, she had been killed by Heather Weber's hook attacks. Yet here she was, alive but clearly not free. The moment of recognition. When Jason finally spotted Britt by the resort's pool, time seemed to stand still. Britt's reaction was immediate and visceral. She looked as though she had seen a ghost. The emotional weight of the moment was palpable as both struggled to process what they were seeing. For Britt, Jason's appearance represented both hope and danger. Well, for Jason, seeing her alive brought a mixture of relief and deep concern. Pascal, ever the vigilant handler, quickly noticed the tension and moved to intervene. But the connection between Jason and Britt was undeniable. Their eyes locked across the pool area, and in that instant, all the unspoken words and unfinished emotions between them came flooding back. Britt's anguish revealed. Once they were able to speak privately, Britt couldn't contain her emotional turmoil any longer. The strong, independent doctor who had faced countless challenges broke down as she revealed the depths of her suffering. She spoke of feeling trapped, not just physically at the resort, but emotionally by the circumstances that had led her there. "I've been living a nightmare," Britt confessed, her voice trembling. "Every day I wake up knowing that people I love think I'm dead, and I can't do anything about it." The medication she had been taking nightly to control her Huntington's symptoms came with a price: complete compliance with her mysterious boss's demands. Jason listened intently as Britt described her daily routine of analyzing data from experiments conducted by Professor Henry Dalton back in Port Charles, all while being kept under constant surveillance. She had become a prisoner in paradise, her medical expertise exploited for purposes she couldn't fully understand or control. The shocking revelation about FAISON. Just when Jason thought he understood the scope of Britt's predicament, she delivered the bombshell that would change everything. With tears streaming down her face, Britt looked directly into Jason's eyes and whispered the words that sent chills down his spine. "Jason, FAISON is alive." The revelation hit like a thunderbolt. Caesar FAISON, the notorious DVX operative who had terrorized Port Charles for years, was supposed to be dead, killed by Jason himself in a final confrontation. Yet according to Britt, her father had not only survived, but had orchestrated an elaborate scheme to save her life and keep her under his control. "He's the one behind all of this," Britt explained, her voice barely above a whisper. "The medication that's keeping me alive, the research project, even my supposed death, it's all been his doing." The pieces of the puzzle began falling into place for Jason. As he realized the scope of FAISON's manipulation, Britt revealed that FAISON had approached her after she was attacked by Heather Weber, offering her a chance at life in exchange for her cooperation. Desperate to survive and knowing her time was running out due to Huntington's disease, she had agreed to his terms, not fully understanding what she was signing up for. Understanding the danger, Jason's blood ran cold as he processed the implications of FAISON's return. He knew better than anyone how dangerous and unpredictable the man could be. FAISON's obsession with Anna Devane, his history of manipulation and violence, and his connections to international criminal organizations made him one of the most formidable enemies Port Charles had ever faced. "He's using you," Jason told Britt firmly. "Whatever he's promised you, whatever he's given you, it comes with strings attached. FAISON doesn't do anything without an agenda." The medication that was keeping Britt's Huntington's symptoms at bay was likely just another tool in FAISON's arsenal of control. Britt nodded through her tears, acknowledging what she had suspected all along. "I know he's dangerous, but Jason, I was dying. When he offered me a chance to live, I couldn't say no. But now I'm trapped, and I don't know how to get out. The escape plan. Seeing Britt's distress and understanding the imminent danger they both faced, Jason's protective instincts kicked into overdrive. We're getting you out of here, he declared without hesitation. Tonight. I'm not leaving you in FAISON's hands for another minute. Jason's mind raced as he formulated a plan. He knew that escaping from the 5 poppies wouldn't be simple. Pascal and his associates would be watching Britt's every move, and FAISON likely had contingencies in place. But Jason had faced impossible odds before, and he wasn't about to let the woman he cared about remain a prisoner. What about the medication? Britt asked, voicing her deepest fear. Without it, the Huntingtons will progress rapidly. I might not have much time left. Jason took her hands in his voice steady and reassuring. We'll figure it out. There are other doctors, other treatments. But first, we need to get you away from here and back to people who actually care about you. The determination in his eyes gave Britt hope for the first time in months. The race against time. As night fell over the 5 poppies resort, Jason and Britt prepared for their dangerous escape. They both understood that once they left Croatia, FAISON would stop at nothing to get his daughter back. The criminal mastermind had invested too much time and resources into his scheme to let it unravel easily. Jason's experience with covert operations served him well as they planned their route out of the resort. He had already scouted the security measures and identified potential exit points, but he knew that getting past Pascal and his team would require perfect timing and no small amount of luck. Once we're back in the States, we'll have more options, Jason assured Britt. Anna can help us understand what FAISON's really after, and we can make sure you get the medical care you need from doctors who aren't controlled by your father. The emotional reunion between Jason and Britt at the 5 poppies resort marked the beginning of a new chapter in their complicated relationship. Britt's revelation about FAISON being alive has set the stage for a dangerous game of cat and mouse that will undoubtedly have far-reaching consequences for everyone in Port Charles. As Jason prepares to spirit Britt away from her father's clutches, both must prepare for the storm that's coming when Caesar FAISON realizes his carefully constructed plan is falling apart. Their love story, interrupted by death and deception, now faces its ultimate test as they flee from one of the most dangerous men either of them has ever encountered. The road back to America and to freedom promises to be fraught with peril, but with Jason by her side, Britt finally has hope that she might escape her father's shadow and reclaim her life. Next, we will delve into the escalating turmoil surrounding Willow Tate and her hidden rage that's pushing her toward unimaginable actions. In the shadowy corridors of Port Charles, Willow Tate appears blissfully unaware of the storm brewing within her own psyche, a tempest of unchecked anger that's leading her down a path of destruction. Far from recognizing the severity of her emotional turmoil, Willow has been channeling her frustrations into a series of malicious acts that reveal a darker side to her character. This isn't just a fleeting lapse in judgment. It's a pattern of behavior that's alienating those around her and raising alarms about her stability. Imagine a woman who once embodied compassion as a nurse now sneaking through the night, like a phantom, intent on sowing chaos in the lives of others. Her actions stem from a deep-seated grief over personal losses, but instead of seeking solace, she's lashing out in ways that could unravel her entire world. As viewers, we're left wondering how far this spiral will go before someone intervenes, or if Willow will even allow herself to see the monster she's becoming. The initial victim of Willow's vendetta was none other than Sasha Gilmore, the vulnerable new mother who's already endured her share of heartaches in Port Charles. Willow's intrusions into the Grand Quartermain mansion weren't mere pranks. They were calculated moves designed to erode Sasha's sense of security and sanity. Picture this: under the cover of darkness, Willow would slip past the estate's watchful eyes, her footsteps silent on the polished floors. She'd tamper with the nursery in subtle yet insidious ways, like activating the baby mobile to blare lullabies at odd hours, disrupting the infant's sleep and fraying Sasha's nerves. In one particularly eerie incident, Willow repositioned the baby in the crib, flipping its orientation so that Sasha would wake to find her child facing the wrong way, a disorienting sight that planted seeds of doubt in her mind. She even went so far as to swap the baby's cozy onesie for one in a starkly different hue, perhaps a bright red instead of the soft pastel Sasha had chosen, symbolizing a deliberate invasion of the most intimate parental decisions. These weren't random acts, they built a narrative of gaslighting, making Sasha question her own perceptions. Adding to the tension, Willow might have left faint traces like a misplaced toy or a slightly ajar window, heightening the paranoia. Overwhelmed and convinced that an unseen threat loomed over her child, Sasha made the heart-wrenching choice to flee Port Charles entirely, bundling up her little one and vanishing into the unknown for their safety. This departure not only shattered family ties, but also left a void in the Quartermain household, with whispers of suspicion echoing through its halls. Yet, Willow's smug belief that she's escaped detection couldn't be further from the truth, as a growing circle of allies and adversaries has begun piecing together her deceitful puzzle. Her own mother, Nina Reeves, with her sharp instincts honed from years of navigating Port Charles' cutthroat dynamics, has sensed something amiss in Willow's erratic demeanor, or perhaps catching glimpses of guilt in her daughter's eyes during tense family gatherings. Then there's Drew Kane, whose complicated history with Willow adds layers of personal stake. He's observed her furtive movements and connected the dots to Sasha's sudden exit, his protective nature kicking in as he contemplates confronting her directly. Michael Corinthos, ever the loyal husband turned wary observer, has noticed inconsistencies in Willow's alibis, his love for her clashing with a growing concern that she's unraveling, inventing new intrigue. Perhaps these three have formed an informal alliance, sharing hushed conversations in the Metro Court lounge, exchanging notes on Willow's unexplained absences and her increasingly volatile outbursts. They've even considered involving authorities discreetly, weighing the risks of exposing her before she causes irreversible harm. This web of awareness underscores a pivotal theme. Willow's isolation is self-imposed, but the net closing around her could force a reckoning she desperately needs. The drama escalated dramatically in the sterile confines of ABC General Hospital's staff room, where Willow clashed with Lucas Jones in a confrontation that exposed the raw edges of her fury. What began as a heated debate over patient care protocols, Lucas, perhaps advocating for a more aggressive treatment plan, while Willow defended a gentler approach, quickly devolved into personal barbs, with Lucas pressing buttons about Willow's recent life upheavals. Admittedly, Lucas might have overstepped, his words laced with frustration from his own stresses as a dedicated doctor juggling family and career. But Willow's response was explosive. In a moment of unchecked impulse, she delivered a sharp slap across his face, the sound echoing off the lockers like a thunderclap. This wasn't just unprofessional, it violated hospital policy and workplace conduct, especially during active shifts when patient lives hang in the balance. Lucas, stunned and humiliated, isn't one to back down. Quiet Lyle could very well report the incident to the hospital board, citing it as assault and demanding accountability. Given the hierarchy, with Lucas as a respected physician and Willow as a nurse, the administration might lean toward swift action to maintain order, potentially terminating her employment without hesitation. To expand on this, imagine the fallout, rumors spreading like wildfire through the nursing staff, colleagues whispering about Willow's instability, and even patients overhearing snippets that erode trust in the facility. If fired, Willow's world would crumble further, stripping away her professional identity and the structure it provides, possibly igniting an even more perilous phase of her descent. At the core of Willow's turmoil is her fixation on Drew Kane, as the scapegoat for every misfortune in her life, a blame game that blinds her to her own accountability. Drew's involvement in past events certainly complicated matters. His decisions might have indirectly contributed to Willow's pains, but she's the architect of her current chaos, refusing to confront the emotional wreckage head-on. Instead of pursuing the intensive therapy she so clearly requires, perhaps sessions with a specialist in grief and anger management, Willow barrels forward in denial. Experts in the storyline suggest she might need to plummet to rock bottom before embracing help. A narrative arc that echoes real-life struggles with mental health. Inventing fresh details, envision Willow poring over old photos in her quiet moments, her resentment boiling as she fixates on Drew's seemingly stable life, contrasting it with her own losses. This could manifest in subtle sabotages, like anonymous tips to disrupt his business dealings or veiled threats during chance encounters. But the speculation grows darker. Willow's vendetta might extend to Drew's innocent young daughter, Scout Quartermain, a child who represents everything Willow feels she's been robbed of. In a twisted bid for empathy, she could plot to make Drew experience the agony of separation from his only child, mirroring her own heartbreaks. The chilling possibility of Willow targeting Scout adds a layer of suspense that's gripping fans. What if, driven by this warped sense of justice, Willow orchestrates an abduction? Picture her lurking near Scout's school, disguised in everyday attire, waiting for the perfect moment to whisk the girl away to a hidden spot, maybe an abandoned cabin on the outskirts of town. where she'd confront Drew with demands for atonement. This invented scenario heightens the stakes, Scout's wide-eyed innocence clashing with Willow's fractured psyche, forcing Drew into a frantic search aided by Port Charles' finest, including Police Commissioner Jordan Ashford. Such an act would not only shatter families, but also expose Willow's depths, potentially leading to legal consequences like charges of kidnapping and endangering a minor. The question lingers, just how far is Willow capable of going? Will her slap against Lucas cost her the nursing job that's been her anchor at ABC General Hospital, pushing her into unemployment and further instability? Next, we will uncover the intriguing mysteries swirling around Lucky Spencer's enigmatic cabin, and what it could mean for the residents of Port Charles. In the ever-twisting world of Port Charles, where secrets lurk behind every door and forgotten places hold the keys to explosive revelations, fans have been buzzing with one burning question: what's the real story behind Lucky Spencer's secluded cabin? This rustic hideaway, tucked away in the dense woods on the outskirts of town, has suddenly become a focal point of speculation, drawing viewers into a web of potential plot twists that could reshape ongoing storylines. No longer just a forgotten relic from the past, the cabin is now under renovation by the enigmatic Dr. Isaiah Gannon, whose hands-on project has sparked theories about hidden discoveries waiting to be unearthed. Imagine the creaky floorboards giving way to concealed compartments, or dusty attics revealing long-buried artifacts that could ignite fresh dramas, or resurrect ghosts from bygone eras. As Dr. Gannon hammers away at the weathered structure, perhaps installing modern amenities like a hidden security system, or restoring antique furnishings, the air thickens with anticipation. This isn't mere home improvement. It's a narrative device poised to connect disparate threads in the soap's tapestry. From unsolved crimes to personal vendettas, fans are theorizing that his efforts might accidentally expose clues tied to past tragedies, blending nostalgia with high-stakes intrigue and reminding us how Port Charles' history never truly stays buried. Delving deeper into the cabin's shadowy origins, many enthusiasts initially linked it to the chilling site where Jocelyn Jacks confronted and ultimately killed the notorious Cyrus Renault, a moment that sent shockwaves through the community. However, sharp-eyed viewers have pointed out crucial distinctions, clarifying that the infamous murder cabin was actually owned by the late Austin Gatlin Holt, a character whose tangled alliances and mysterious demise left lingering questions. Police investigators, in their meticulous search for Renault, zeroed in on properties connected to Austin, guided by digital trails like property records and GPS data from Renault's vehicle, which pointed toward that remote direction amid the foggy backroads. Inventing a fresh layer, perhaps during the renovation, Dr. Gannon could stumble upon overlooked evidence from that érasé, a blood-stained rug hidden in the crawlspace or a forgotten journal, detailing Austin's shady dealings with Renault, potentially reopening the case and implicating new suspects. This connection not only revives old mysteries, but also analyzes how the cabin serves as a symbolic bridge between eras, where the sins of the past bleed into present-day conflicts. Fans have flooded online forums with insights, one commenting that the authorities' decision to search there stemmed from Austin's known ties to Renault, including shared business ventures and underground operations that involved smuggling routes through the woods. Another detail-oriented viewer noted how the cabin's isolated location, with its winding dirt path and overgrown foliage, made it an ideal spot for clandestine meetings, explaining why it matched the last known trajectory of Renault's car on that fateful night. Shifting gears to the wilder speculations, the cabin's revival opens doors to dramatic possibilities involving fan-favorite characters, particularly the increasingly unstable Willow Tate, whose downward spiral has everyone on edge. There's a growing theory that Willow, driven by her mounting rage and grief, might resort to desperate measures like kidnapping a vulnerable individual, perhaps a child close to her heart, or an enemy to exact some form of twisted revenge. In this scenario, the cabin could transform into her secret lair, a place to hole up amid the pines, far from prying eyes, until Dr. Gannon, with his intimate knowledge of the property, tracks her down in a tense showdown. Picture Willow barricading the doors with makeshift locks, her captive hidden in a dimly lit room while she paces the creaky porch, wrestling with her demons under the starry sky. Adding inventive elements, maybe she stocks the place with supplies pilfered from the hospital, like medical kits and non-perishable foods, turning it into a makeshift fortress. This plot thread analyzes the cabin's role as a haven for the tormented, highlighting themes of isolation and redemption. Online chatter has been fervent, with one fan suggesting that if Willow goes rogue and abducts children, say, targeting those connected to her rivals like Drew Kane's daughter Scalv, authorities would inevitably question Elizabeth Weber, Willow's close friend who knows the cabin's location from shared confidences. During late-night heart-to-hearts, Elizabeth's involvement could add emotional depth, forcing her to choose between loyalty and justice, perhaps even leading her to tip off the police with details about the cabin's hidden trails and secret entrances. Expanding on these fan-driven ideas, another provocative theory positions the cabin as a clandestine retreat for forbidden romances, injecting romance and scandal into its lore. Imagine Dr. Gannon and Portia Robinson, both navigating their own personal turmoils, using the renovated space for stolen moments away from the judgmental gaze of Port Charles society. If an affair blossoms between them, the cabin could become their sanctuary, complete with candlelit dinners on a refurbished deck overlooking a serene lake, or whispered confessions by a crackling fireplace that Gannon installs during his upgrades. This invented subplot analyzes how the location fosters intimacy amid chaos, contrasting its dark history with potential for passion. A fan elaborated online, proposing that such a hideaway would allow Isaiah and Portia to explore their chemistry without interference, perhaps sparked by shared professional stresses at the hospital, like collaborating on high-pressure cases that draw them closer. Yet, this secrecy could unravel if discovered, leading to jealousy-fueled confrontations with characters like Curtis Ashford, Portia's husband, who might stumble upon clues like a misplaced earring or an unfamiliar car parked nearby. Unraveling the cabin's true heritage adds even more layers to its allure, tracing back to a pivotal moment in 1998 when Luke Spencer, the legendary rogue of Port Charles, found himself ensnared in a bear trap during a desperate attempt to reconnect with his son Lucky. At that very spot, the incident, fraught with tension and paternal desperation, saw Luke limping through the underbrush, his cries echoing as he tried to mend their fractured bond amid the wilderness. Lucky, inheriting the property after Luke's adventures, poured his energy into restoring it as a symbol of putting down roots in his tumultuous life, perhaps adding personal touches like a hand-carved signpost or a small garden of hardy wildflowers. However, in a moment of self-doubt fueled by manipulative forces gaslighting him into believing he'd never truly belong in Port Charles, Lucky gifted the cabin to Isaiah Gannon, a gesture of friendship that now ties their fates together. Inventing new details, envision Lucky reflecting on this in quiet flashbacks, regretting the handover as he senses the cabin's pull in current events, maybe even returning to reclaim it and uncover family heirlooms like Luke's old harmonica, hidden in the rafters. This historical analysis underscores the cabin's evolution from a site of family strife to a potential catalyst for modern-day reckonings, embodying the enduring Spencer legacy of resilience and regret. As these theories swirl and the cabin's secrets threaten to spill over into the lives of Port Charles inhabitants, the excitement builds for what's next in this captivating saga. Will Dr. Gannon's renovations unearth a game-changing artifact that revives a dormant mystery? Or will it become the backdrop for Willow's potential breakdown and a daring rescue? Could it hide an illicit affair that shatters relationships? Or reveal more about Lucky's past that pulls him back into the fray? The possibilities are endless, each one promising heart-pounding drama and unexpected alliances. Of course, devoted ABC General Hospital fans know the only way to get the full picture is to tune in daily, catching every episode to witness how this humble cabin might just hold the key to the town's most explosive developments yet. Stay vigilant. Port Charles watchers, the woods are whispering secrets you won't want to miss.